Good afternoon, Meteorologist Mike Linden back for the Tuesday midday weather update. What's going on? Welcome to the stream. Of course, if you are new around here, be sure to follow us across all of our social media platforms. We are on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We're streaming live on Twitch right now as well, and help us get to 80,000 subscribers on YouTube, because as soon as we hit that mark, we are giving away a smartphone. You get to choose either a brand new iPhone or a brand new Google Pixel. All you have to do is be subscribed to the channel. When we hit that 80,000 subscriber mark, we are almost there. Let's jump right into the weather though. It is Tuesday here, and we are looking at more severe storms moving through the southern United States right now, particularly through Louisiana and eastern and southeastern Mississippi. If we look at the MyRadar app here, again, you can see those storms right now pushing through the New Orleans area. There's a stationary front doing exactly what the name entails. It's remaining stationary. And you can actually see that if we go into the layers menu here, we go into fronts, turn that on, and you can see that stationary front there just to the northwest of Mississippi, Louisiana, the alternating warm and cold front icons, the pips there. And really what's happening on a grand scale, if you watch football, is you have the offensive and defensive line fighting for position, like fighting over the line of scrimmage. The cold air and the warm air, neither one is strong enough to overtake the other right now. So you're getting this clashing along that boundary. And that is why you are seeing these storms and the rain kind of firing up on the eastern side of that front, likely to put down quite a bit of it here over the next couple of days. We will talk more about that in a moment, but we're going to switch gears and we're going to bring in MyRadar storm chaser Aaron Jajak. He is north of the border in Manitoba, Canada. Aaron, we are not in a time machine. It's snowing where you are right now. And before we got started here, we were talking about how this could be one of the more significant snowfalls for the Manitoba area. So far this year, again, we're in mid-April. It's not winter. We have to remind people we are in the spring. What's going on, Aaron? What's it like up there?
Yeah, that's right. Just last week when I was with you all, I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt, and so it was quite a different change here. It's like winter again, and breaking out all the winter gear here. I got my MyRadar winter jacket, and yeah, it was there's been we've had snow off a lot of days this winter, but as far as a single event amount of snow here, this is definitely one of the higher amounts that I've seen so far this winter here. We're not even in winter anymore, we're in spring now. So, but yeah, probably about 8 inches of snow, I would say, or roughly around in there, has fallen so far.
Man, Matt in the back, I know, has been clamoring for a MyRadar jacket. Now you're rocking the MyRadar winter jacket, making him even more jealous. Gotta love it. But Aaron, we wanted to talk to you about hail, something that you see quite often when you are chasing severe weather. Of course, you're dealing with the snow right now. I mean, it's amazing. But of course, hail is a big factor when it comes to chasing severe storms, something you know, of course, all about. Of course, just yesterday across Texas and portions of Louisiana, there was reports of baseball-sized hail and even a little larger up near grapefruit-sized. I mean, that's pretty dangerous. Take me through what it's like for a storm chaser out following these severe storms, already trying to be in the safe place from where those storms are going, but then you got to worry about those nasty hail cores. What's that like for a chaser on the ground?
Yeah, hail is one of the, it's just as dangerous as any of the other hazards out there. You get anywhere from, copious amounts of little hail to the big grapefruit-sized hail. And, sometimes there could be no hail falling, and all of a sudden a chunk of hail gets chucked out of the updraft of a storm. And, I've been out before with one of my friends chasing, and it actually took a hailstone to the side of the head, and it, left a welt and a little bloody spot. So, yeah, so it can be very dangerous out there, not just because you can get hit by it, but also, like I was mentioning, when you get those copious amounts of hail, I've been in situations where it looks like it just snowed, just like it looks here right now with all the snow on the ground, except it's all hail. And in fact, I've seen them have to pull out, the snow plows to clear roads before or after a big hail dump happens. And as you're trying to maneuver around a storm, a lot of times the smaller hail gets chucked out, further away from the storm, and right underneath that updraft where I'm looking for those tornadoes is where you get that biggest hail falling, because those updrafts are keeping those stones suspended up in the air, and the lighter stones are able to get moved downstream from where the updraft is, and then those big ones, they get lifted up until they're too heavy for that updraft to support, and it comes crashing back down to earth. So you got to be careful when you're driving, because obviously it's just as slick as snow. You know, you can be a slippery situation that you're driving on, so you got to slow those speeds down. And one of the other things that a lot of people don't actually think about with hail is that you get a phenomenon called hail fog. So as the hail falls, you know, it's very cold, and there's generally the air that's produced the storms is warmer, and then it creates a fog that may also be a hazard when you're driving around out there. And you know, it's not just dangerous for chasers. You know, I should take a step back. One other thing I wanted to mention is the windshield. So you got to be careful, because if you lose your windshield, you lose visibility, and that might end the chase, and then you might not be able to chase the next day. And besides for just chasers, you know, there's also that hail can get, as you see in this video here, horizontally, and it does lots of damage to homes. You know, destroys siding and breaks windows. So hail is definitely something you got to be on the lookout for when you're chasing it. Be careful and make sure you're driving safely around it.
Right. Once we get above that golf ball stage, that's when things start to really become something you really have to pay close attention to. We have some video as well, Aaron. I know that you chasers, it's like a mark of the season to have your windshield, or at least a window, smashed by hailstones. We have some video that you sent us earlier. Walk us through what happened here, because that looks like a pretty sizable chunk of your windshield taken out.
That's right. That was at least a baseball-sized hail. That happened last year in Burnett, Texas. I was chasing a big supercell, and it actually produced a tornado. And generally, I try to stay out of that hail core and avoid the big hail. As like I said, I don't want to destroy my windshield and then not be able to chase the next day. And I had stayed underneath a little bit too long underneath the storm, because it looked like it was going to plant a tornado. And sure enough, it planted a tornado. And then I got distracted and didn't pay attention to the road network, and actually couldn't get out from underneath the storm in time. And as I was trying to maneuver out and get ahead of the storm, these big chunks of baseball-sized hail start coming down. And it actually, this was the last one that hit the car. I was almost out of the storm, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this big chunk comes through, and it just destroys the windshield. But before that, I'd already lost the back window to the Subaru, and then also I had lost a side window, because it was a smaller, like a golf ball size hail, but the winds were 70 miles an hour out of the north, and we're just sending that hail flying sideways, and took out a side window.
Man, I mean, just another hazard as a storm chaser, something to have to watch out for. And then, of course, for people in the midst of severe weather season, I mean, it's still middle of April. We're really now starting to ramp up, and already seeing some significant hail over portions of the south. So it's just one more thing that people have to be aware of. That is very likely we will see more of that here over the next couple of months. Aaron, thank you very much for joining us. Go inside, get warm. I can't believe I even have to say this in the middle of April, but hey, that's Canada for you, the Great White North. We don't want to make Matt any more jealous than he already is with your MyRadar branded jacket. Thanks again, Aaron. We appreciate it very much. Stay safe up there.
Yeah, no problem. I'm going to go grab a cup of hot chocolate. I'll see you guys later.
Catch you later, Aaron. All right, that's MyRadar storm chaser, Aaron Jack. Let's jump over and take a look at some live WeatherStem cameras from our partners, of course, at WeatherStem. This is Baton Rouge, Louisiana, looking out over Alex Box Stadium. Of course, again, we did see those severe storms push through the Gulf Coast yesterday. It's already really heavily raining over southern Louisiana right now, and you can see a pretty nasty looking sky there over Baton Rouge. It wasn't too long ago as well. This camera was bouncing in the breeze. Next, let's jump. We're going on a college tour here, folks. From LSU, we're going to Chapel Hill, North Carolina. This is the University of North Carolina. A beautiful day right now over Chapel Hill, but there is the possibility for some severe weather here into the second half of the day now for the North Carolina and Southern Virginia border there. That is something that we will be watching here over the next 24 or so hours. And then finally, we're going to stay in the Tar Heel State. I know that the folks here at Wake Forest aren't going to want to hear me call it that, but this is Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Truist Field. Again, you can see the beautiful blue skies over North Carolina right now, but we are certainly keeping a close eye on what could potentially be a severe second half to the day with some stronger storms and possibly some strong, potentially damaging winds coming that way. Otherwise, a beautiful look right now over North Carolina. How about some viral videos? We're going to take a look at some really cool ones. This one is really neat. This is a visualization from NASA Moon. And this is data from the orbiter aircraft from Apollo 13. And what they were able to do is essentially mimic what the surface of the moon looked like, really, for what the astronauts were seeing on Apollo 13. So again, this is a visualization. I mean, this would be incredible video of the moon if this were legit. But again, a visualization from NASA Moon. I saw this on Twitter earlier today, and I really figured I'd have to share it with you guys. I just think that this is, I mean, spectacular here. And of course, if you've seen the movie Apollo 13, you know that was a pretty touch and go mission for those astronauts. That was, I believe, 52 years ago, right around today, I believe, 52 years ago today. We'll say over 50 years ago today. That is what the astronauts aboard the Apollo 13 spacecraft were looking at. Incredible visualization. We could stare at that thing for minutes on end. But next, let's bring it back to to Earth here. And this is a meteor, or an asteroid, I should say, passing really close by Earth. This is actually in South Florida here, and you can see it right there at the top of your screen there. That is the asteroid making a pass by really close to Earth, mind you, and estimates put this thing about as large as a car. So needless to say, that thing is as large as a car, and you could see it for just a second there lighting up the entire sky. I mean, a close call. And then we have another view across the Sunshine State of Florida. This one comes to us from Surfline, and this is a collection of the nighttime rewinds, if you will, of these cameras up and down the coast. I mean, just look at that. It's like a sci-fi movie, right? It's incredible stuff. Really makes you feel small when you see something like this from outer space having such an effect on the surface of the Earth. So a close call. We're good with that. Making quite a light show over the Sunshine State there in the middle of the evening. This was overnight last night and into this morning. Incredible stuff. So let's bring it even closer to the surface of Earth here, Damien. We're going to take a look at the live radar right now. Again, we talked about this at the top of the show. The heavy rain sitting over New Orleans and over western Mississippi. We're taking the radar right now from Mobile, Alabama. But all of this rain, being that this is a function of that stationary front, really isn't going much of anywhere. You can see this green overlay I've put on top of the map now. That is actually a flash flood watch. That will remain in effect through Thursday afternoon local time, Central Daylight Time. And that affects portion of Alabama, Mississippi, even portions of Texas, Louisiana, and southern Arkansas. Again, this is not something to mess around with when you're talking about flash flooding, and the key there is that it can happen in an instant. So we say this all the time: turn around, don't drown. We shared some animations from the very talented Matt Highland in the back there across all of our social media platforms, and you saw that it really doesn't take very much water at all to lift up a car and drift you away. And then keep in mind, if you're in an emergency situation, you're probably going to call the emergency services, whether it's the police, the fire department, local emergency management, then they have to put themselves at risk to help you. So it's just better to avoid that situation entirely. Do not try to drive through a flooded roadway. Even if you have a big lifted truck and you think that you can get through it, it's just better not to chance it. Not a fun phone call you'll have to make after that. So now, here is a look at the last 24 hours on the satellite radar. You can actually see the scattering kind of happening on the left-hand side of your screen there. That's the data that went out across all of the National Weather Service radar stations there. But you can see here on the northern tier of the United States, right where Aaron is, it is snowing heavily across Montana, North Dakota, Minnesota. Wild stuff right here in the middle of April. We actually may even see more snow across the Four Corners area through Colorado, Wyoming, and potentially even portions of northern New Mexico. That's something fun to keep an eye on here over the next 12 hours or so. But again, most of the attention of the weather world is on the southern United States. You can see those storms just blowing up over eastern Texas there. Chief Meteorologist Leslie Hudson was talking about that in the Fast Forecast yesterday. They really are textbook in the way that they are firing up there. Just flowing right across to the east there and dropping some pretty significant hail, as you saw in the Fast Forecast as well. But now, as we look ahead through the rest of the day today, there is this slight risk for severe storms. This is through the rest of today into the overnight hours. Large hail and damaging winds likely to be the biggest factors of what we will be watching out for today. And in terms of the amount of people affected by this, that yellow color there, that's that slight risk, a 2 out of 5 from the Storm Prediction Center. That's for the southern Louisiana coastline, the western border, and southeastern Texas. But that larger area, that dark green color, that is a marginal risk, a 1 out of 5 on the scale there, and that is impacting roughly 12 million or so people through the rest of this evening. Those storms, again, with the way that this stationary front will operate, again, think about it in terms of, if you're a football fan, the offensive and defensive line just fighting over position. That's really what's happening here with these two air masses, the warm air coming in from the Gulf of Mexico and the cooler, drier air coming in from the north. We also have high pressure off the coastline, the southeastern coastline of the U.S., and look at the way that rotates, right? Clockwise. So all of that warm, wet air from the Gulf is just trying to surge northward, and as it does, it's being met by this cold, dry air mass to the north, and that is creating this stationary front. And watch, I mean, we're just pretty much seeing all the rain in seemingly one place here, and look at the time. That's into Wednesday morning, so still raining over portions of Mississippi, Louisiana, and southeastern Texas. And as we progress into Wednesday afternoon, we finally begin to see this stationary front giving way, and it will eventually transition into a full-on cold front before it finally dissipates. That doesn't mean we're done with the active weather. There you can see, look at the top right there, the storms over the Norfolk area and Raleigh, North Carolina. Again, riding along the edge of that front, and then on the backside of this stationary front could even be looking at more rain for the Texas area. And that is why on the power outage forecast, you're going to see first the colors really popping up here along the Gulf Coast, and then on the backside over Texas. So we'll start you off at 11 o'clock this evening, and this is an index that takes into account essentially the likelihood of strong enough winds historically to be able to cause power outages. This is not a guarantee whether or not you're going to get a power outage, but if you are in that high or severe range, that orange and red, it's certainly more indicative that you may encounter a power outage than not. So of course, be sure that your mobile devices are charged. If you have a cell phone power bank, like one of those that you can plug USB into, make sure that that's fully charged. Of course, in the off chance that you lose power later this evening and into tomorrow, because some places could potentially be knocked out of power in the daytime hours, especially if you're working from home. You want to be able to work from home and have those devices charged up. So again, we'll start you off at close to midnight tonight. We'll go into tomorrow, and notice how right where that stationary front is, you can start to see the power outage values really starting to climb. And then on the backside of this, again, we're now into Wednesday afternoon. On the backside of this, look at that across Texas. Again, that's on the back end of that front, riding along that stationary front as it begins to work its way into Wednesday afternoon. So it's not just necessarily the flash flooding to watch out for, but very likely looking out for those strong damaging winds. But here's a big reason why flash flooding is kind of a number one right now in terms of the big threats. Over the next 3 days, we're looking at roughly 5 to 7 inches of rain across portions of Mississippi, southern Alabama, a touch into the Florida panhandle there, mostly into Louisiana, and a little bit into Texas as well. Regardless of that, you can see the blue color there pushing into even Oklahoma and into Missouri there. That is where we are looking at roughly 1 to 3 inches of rain. So even though you're not under a flash flood watch for folks that live in Oklahoma, it's certainly going to be more wet than likely what you've been experiencing here lately. But here's some interesting news, and this kind of goes to support why we're seeing that stationary front, why we're seeing snow across the northern tier of the U.S. This is some information from the Climate Prediction Center, the CPC, that is showing what the next roughly week or so will look like in terms of your temperatures. And notice that big blue bullseye over the central United States. Well, here we go. Over the second half of April, looks like we could be considerably cooler than where we should be normally, and that should give us a nice break from severe storms, especially in the spots that desperately need it. We're talking, of course, Alabama, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Louisiana. You're seeing a lot of rain, but we're not exactly talking about this incredibly conducive environment for tornadoes. So you got to look at things, I guess, with the silver lining a little bit here. Now, the western portion of the U.S., the opposite, going to be warming up considerably, especially when you consider how active of a winter it was with La Nina in full effect for the Pacific Northwest. So a nice warm up there, as well as on the other side of the map over New England there warming up. But all in all, get ready for a cooler next week for you. Don't go getting the winter clothes out just yet. especially for folks that live in the central and southern United States, but a nice little cool off compared to where things have been lately is likely to follow this rain. Before we say goodbye, we're going to show you a Feel Good Friday video. It's Tuesday, but it's always a good time to show you these videos. Of course, if you want to be a part of Feel Good Friday, be sure to tag us on social media. If you tag us on Twitter, it's at MyRadarWX. I wanted to share this video. Typically, let's be real, folks. We show you Feel Good Friday. We're animal lovers here, right? We show you all the cute animals running around outside, playing in the snow, playing in the rain. A little different today. I just had to show you this drone shot here. Absolutely stunning over Eisenhower Pier in Bangor, Northern Ireland. Full disclosure, when I was trying to get this video, I thought, hey, Bangor, Maine, beautiful. And then realized it's Northern Ireland. Regardless, look pretty similar, but an absolutely stunning shot of the lighthouse there. Who doesn't like a good lighthouse, right? Again, you can be a part of Feel Good Friday. Be sure to tag us on social media. Damien, if you want to pull up the handles there before we say goodbye, just so people know how they can reach out to us. Again, we are on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. We're on Twitch now. We're on TikTok too. Be sure to follow us everywhere. The MyRadar empire is expanding every single day. And again, be sure to help us out to get to that 80,000 subscriber mark on YouTube. There they are. You can see YouTube all the way over there, youtube.com/MyRadar. Be sure to like this video. It really helps us out a lot. And of course, do not forget to click on that notification bell as well, in addition to subscribing to the channel. That way you always know whenever we drop a new video, whenever we go live for something like this. And of course, we have got so much exciting video content coming over the next 1 to 2 months. Remember, we're just getting into severe weather season right now. It might be a little too early to say, but hurricane season is right around the corner, following the most active season ever last year. We're done with the Greek alphabet. I mean, wild times that we are living in, folks, and we are here to keep you in the loop. So again, be sure to follow us on YouTube and across all of our social media platforms as well. And hey, get yourself some MyRadar merch, store.myradar.com. Use the promo code SPRING10. Again, that's store.myradar.com. Use the promo code SPRING10 to save 10%. And as always, a portion of the proceeds goes to Feeding America, a charity, a nonprofit organization to help those impacted by natural disasters, giving them food, medical supplies, and everything you need to kind of get back on your feet. So that's going to do it here on Tuesday afternoon. Leave us a comment if you're watching, wherever you are watching. Let us know where you are watching from. We always love to see it. And again, we will be back here for the fast forecast. So from all of us here on the MyRadar team, for Matt and Damien in the back, I have been meteorologist Mike Linden. Take it easy, stay safe, and stay dry. We'll catch you back here soon.